Hey lovelies, you're welcome back to Reviews and Recaps. Today we're reviewing Love and Marriage Huntsville Reunion Part 2. Let's get into it. So Carlos basically continued the questioning of Kiki as to whether or not there was infidelity, or at least that Tisha had brought up infidelity in their marriage to Kiki, and then Kiki basically said yes. And so Carlos looked over to Tisha like, what now? You know what was interesting? I don't know if you guys noticed Maso and Tisha's face the whole time. Their faces were telling the truth of what really happened. Like, it's crazy. People can lie, but if you watch them properly, their face, their body language will tell it all. So then Tisha told her on herself. So she was like, Kiki's lying. Then in the same breath, she proceeds to say, well, me and Kiki were close, so, I told Kiki a lot of things. I'm like, sis, so she's telling the truth is what you're saying, but not saying. But anyway, she then proceeds to say she found a picture in Maso's phone. I'm like, oop, what? So she's like, well, the picture had hearts on it or something. And then Carlos was like, was it a naked picture? Tisha was like, it was a booty shot. Kiki was like, yeah. I'm like, oop. Did you see Martel's face? Martel was like, oh, flip, this is going to S. Maso had a smirk on his face. So Tisha was like, well, she screenshot the picture and sent it to Kiki saying WTF. So she then said, she and Kiki researched together and they couldn't find anything else. My dear, how did you research? What, you checked the phone to see if you could find anything else? Like, would he be stupid enough to keep the conversations? Like, I'm just not understanding. But okay, Tisha, if you're cool with it, we are cool with it. It's your marriage. We ain't got nothing to say about it. We don't care about whether he's cheating or not. That's your business, okay? We move. So Carlos then basically turned over to Maso. How did the picture get in your phone? Did you see Maso's face? He was like, he did not expect that line of questioning. He looked down. He was trying to think like, ooh, how can I, come up with this lie, allegedly. So Maso proceeds to say, I interviewed this girl, and afterwards she just proceeds to send me a picture out of the blue. And Kiki was like, out of the blue. I'm like, ooh. Okay, let's dive into that a little bit. You interviewed this girl for what exactly? That's very vague. Interviewed her for a job and she's sending you booty shots, or interviewed her for what exactly? I don't know you to be a blogger, so are you interviewing her for a show? What are you interviewing her for? Like, it's very, very vague, and it's given very much a lie. But, if you like it, if you're comfortable with it, that's that. That's my opinion. So this time around, I think Carlos is understanding the assignment, because he's like, so you saw a picture of a booty in Maso's phone and he with her heart on it. So he's like, no, he hearted it or gave it a thumbs up. He didn't reply. And Kiki was like, you replied. I'm like, oh, Kiki is telling it all. Did you see Wanda's face? She did not look shocked. There's something there. And Kiki said what he said was, a midday work surprise. Did you see Tisha and Maso's faces? Oh my gosh. It tells it all. Do you guys actually think that this happened, or do you think Kiki's lying? I personally believe Kiki, because their faces are giving it away. And then also I remembered watching a video back, I think maybe early last year, where some direct messages with Maso came out, allegedly, where I think it was on Original Straight No Chaser or something, his YouTube channel. I'm not entirely sure. If I'm wrong, sorry. But it basically came up with text messages or Instagram direct messages where they were sending him all sorts of things, and then he was replying with something similar to what she just said. So honestly, guys, it rings really true. And then Tisha was like, yeah, that's exactly what you said. I'm like, Tisha, you're not meant to be. You guys stick to the story or script. Stick to your agreement and your script, please. So Carlos was like, why did she feel comfortable sending you this picture of her ass? And then Martel was like, did she get the job? I'm like, ooh, Maurice fell off laughing. I'm like, Martel is not removing his foot off Maso's neck. Ooh. Martel. So he's, of course, trying to defend himself or whatnot. He's like, people send him DMs with all sorts of pictures, and this was his first time seeing such, and he just pretty much didn't know what to do with it. Did you see Martel's face? Martel is like a little kid who got caught and does not want to go down alone, okay? Martel cannot play poker ever. Because his face is going to tell it all, honey. He's going to be singing like a canary. So Carlos is like, based on, what you've seen as a husband, him responding to such a sexually explicit picture, and then with everything everyone is saying about your husband, don't you think that it could be true? And Kiki's face was like, ooh. And then she's now, telling us her story, aka lie. She said she went back and researched it. I'm like, research what? She said she does her homework before she even confronts Maso. And then Carlos was like, and what did you find during your homework? She's like, nothing. You should see Melody's face. Maso was like, Melody knows more than she's letting on this issue, I think. So this is where it gets really interesting. So Carlos looks over to Wanda and is like, oh, did you know anything about this? And Wanda is like, no. And that she now looks at Maso differently because of that. And then Maso responds because of an ass shot. This man is hella disrespectful. You are a married man. Why are you commenting on an ass shot? Why can't you ignore it or say, this is disrespectful. I am a married man. Do not send me ass shots. Simple. But instead, he's kicking in front of everyone as in because of an ass shot. He's so hella disrespectful. I don't know how anyone puts up with that mess. So then Wanda is like, if you look at someone's ass, you're cheating. If you're lusting over someone, you're cheating. I'm like, fair enough. And then Maurice is like, well, I'm guilty. Did you see how Kimmy looked at him? Like, boy, if you don't shut up right now. So then Kiki and Wanda get into it. And then Wanda is like, oh, you want to rooster or something? Like something ridiculous like that? Woo woo. And then Kiki was like, how tacky is that? And sis, I agree with you. That is hella tacky. She's like, how unbecoming is that? How uncouth is that? I'm like, you better tell Wanda. Someone needs to tell Wanda about herself. So then Kiki and Kimmy are going back and forth. Kimmy is basically saying that she felt that Kiki was the one who brought up Tisha when they were outside. And so they rolled the tape. And it seemed that Kiki was basically expressing how difficult sometimes it is, interacting with Tisha, which I can imagine because Tisha does not take accountability for anything. I personally don't see that much wrong with it. It's not like she was bashing Tisha. She was just expressing the difficulties that she had with a relationship with Tisha. That's it. It's not that deep. My opinion. What do you guys think? Do you guys think I'm bugging? Because over on the other side, they were the ones that told the Holtz about her so-called drug addiction. So now that's hella serious. And so Maso brought it up and said, oh, I just wanted to ask the question about how we told the Holtz about the drug addiction. Was it a joke? How did we say it? And so Carlos was like, okay, so who told you that it was said in a laughing matter to Kiki? And then Kiki said Melody. And so Carlos went over to Melody and asked her, okay, so when this issue of the drug addiction was brought up to you, was it brought up as a joke? And she's like, yes, it was. And then Maso asked Martel, and then Martel was like, honestly, I don't remember, which is fair enough. I'm glad he did not take Maso's side, or the other, if he truly did not remember. Then Maso started saying that, he took it very seriously. He never joked about something that serious. He doesn't joke about something that is serious. And then Melody's like, who are you talking to? You joked about the infidelity the whole season. And then Melody is like, we all know how Maso jokes about everything. It's not like he got up on the intercom and said that, which is fair enough because Maso has the ability to joke about everything. He always turns everything into a joke. Of course, Maurice's brother is like, no. You guys are just trying to cover her face because, Kiki knows more and she's going to tell it if you guys don't get on the same page with her. I think that's what's happening. So Carlos was like to Melody, did you think it was just Maso being Maso? Maso is a bit of a jokester, or did you think he was just, trying to be trivialize the whole thing. And so she's like, it was probably Maso being Maso, but it was not funny because they had never heard about the addiction before then, which is fair enough. So Carlos was like to Kiki, did you believe that Maso made a joke about it? And then Kiki was like, well, she knows Maso to be a jokester, but it's really difficult because of how hurtful everything was. And she just doesn't see Maso, a teacher, making a joke about it. I'm like, okay. Kiki is one to watch. She's definitely playing both sides, I would say that. But she did say that she was hurt that it was brought up at all to the host, which is exactly right. Like, you're upset that she brought up so-called cheating allegations, which she did not even go into detail about, but you brought up a whole full-on drug addiction issue. So moving on from there, Carlos wanted to talk about Wanda and Melody and what transpired this season. So Melody was basically saying that initially she didn't actually approach Wanda. She saw a guy that was talking on live and basically saying that he will take a chopper to where she is, blah, 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 and basically threatening her. So when she saw the guy, she's like, oh, you were the one on live threatening me. And then Wanda jumped into the conversation she was having with this guy. So Wanda is like, no, Bernard didn't say that. All he said was, I got that chopper. I'm like, okay. You were talking about Melody and then his response was that. So fill in the gaps. So Wanda was basically saying that, what she said was just repeating what Martel said on Dr. Heavenly's show about not knowing who the baby daddy is of the last baby, right? So then Melody was like, no, that's not what she understood it to be, because she was out here talking about, she can even put a picture of, the man next to the baby, blah, blah, blah. Like, Carlos was like to Martel, like, based on what you were hearing, did you think she was referring to Sugar Mama, their youngest child? And he said, yes. I'm like, okay, good, Martel, for speaking up. So Carlos asked Martel whether he had ever questioned the paternity of his child. And Martel looked pissed. He's like, no. This is my thing with all of them. So let me give you some context before I say what I have to say. So basically, Carlos is basically asking the group, like, do you think what Wanda did was wrong? Then, of course, Maurice comes with his speech saying, well, Martel shouldn't have brought this to the world in the first place. No, I agree with that. But at the same time, that's not the question that you are being asked. But okay, you guys will deflect if you do nothing else. Then so over to Tisha now. Tisha's like, yeah, she was wrong, but I think she was going tit for tat with what Melody said. I'm like, here's the problem with everyone. You don't hold Wanda accountable. This wasn't the first time Wanda has said stuff about the children. She had allegedly talked about the children's hair from a very early start. So all of a sudden, everyone is acting like Wanda is a saint and Martel is the one that put the batteries in her back. Don't get me wrong, Martel is hella wrong for going around talking about Melody in the first place. Tisha is like, well, my mom was just like trying to come back at Mel, for sleeping around. I'm like, sleeping around with who? Tisha? Like, where are you getting that from? You're hella disrespectful. If I was Mel, I'll be like, prove it. I love how Martel called Tisha out. He's like, what is wrong for saying that my mom was wrong for calling out that? Tisha is like, I said that. So Maso gets to defending Wanda and says, well, her intention was to talk about Melody, but she ended up talking about Sugar Mama. And then Martel's like, how did you know what her intentions were? And I'm like, I couldn't agree more. Like, I can't believe I'm agreeing with Martel of all people, but I couldn't agree more. So Carlos is like, when the whole monster thing came up, everyone was agreeing that Tiffany should have brought up monster, children are off limits. But now when it comes to Melody and Martel's child, you guys are making excuses, which I couldn't agree more. And then Kimmy's like, who's you guys? Wait, are you guys trying to fight Carlos? So then Kimmy's like, well, let me speak for myself. I think it's out of order what was said. And I think it's just going back in terms of like the rumors that are out there. Well, first of all, I don't agree with that because I'm practically on YouTube watching stuff all the time. I've never heard that rumor ever. So I don't know where this alleged rumors come from. So if someone knows, let me know in the comment section below, guys. So Martel brought up to Carlos, like, the same energy that he had for Maso, last season when Martel and Maso's kid filmed. And he said he doesn't want his kids being brought up on camera. So he's like, why didn't you have that same energy that you had for Maso's kid for us. And wow, he's like, it's not the first time that she's talked about their daughter. And I couldn't agree more, because she said something about the daughter's hair. And so Carlos gets to defending himself and basically said, like, you guys didn't come to me about the hair thing. And then Martel was like, I didn't think I had to. And so Carlos was like, well, you email me about other issues, don't you? I'm like, ooh. So then Wanda jumps in trying to apologize. That's not an apology. She's like, well, I just said to her to find a baby daddy. But I'm like, girl, that's not an apology. So Carlos is like, oh, to Melody, what do you feel about that apology? She just apologized. And so Melody is like, I'm good with that. She doesn't believe she did anything wrong. She doesn't believe she said what we all heard her say. So yeah, I'm good with that. And I agree with that. You can't apologize, then say, oh, that's not, you didn't really think that was what you were doing, or you didn't really, you don't believe you're wrong. That's the truth. And Wanda needs to be off the show. She is hella toxic. So Carlos was like, based on tonight, do you see a world where you are able to move forward with everybody? And she's like, never. I know you guys like to bash Melody, but guess what? The truth of the matter is these people sat there and they let Wanda consistently talk about their kids' hair, who the baby daddy is, things like that. And they did not call her out. Kept making excuses, kept making it into, but you said this. Let's be honest, Wanda says things about Melody all the time. She says nothing. She does not respond. She's called out all types of names in the book. She's constantly going live talking about Melody. No one calls her to order. But then all of a sudden now, you guys expect her to be cool with the same people that has been covering for Wanda, defending Wanda, trivializing everything Wanda has done. No. And so she's like, well, if people aren't willing to be honest or willing to be held accountable, then, there's nothing there really. And so Maso's like, when have you ever been held accountable for anything? Maso, you mean your wife? She is the one that is not accountable for anything. She cannot be held accountable. You've said that on the show multiple times. Someone pulled the footage up, honey. So then Maso and Melody are going, Maso was talking to himself because Melody wasn't having any of it. Carlos was like, what do you have to say? Melody's like, well, he's entitled to his own opinion, whatever, really. She wasn't having any of it. And then Melody was like, you guys go and focus on your own story. You're clocking in. Whatever you do, everything revolves around Mel, which is true. We saw the whole season. The season was the Melody Cherie show. So basically, they let Wanda off the stage and then brought up Destiny and Stormy. I guess we'll see what kind of mess this is. So Carlos asked Stormy why was she so offended as to what Destiny was saying to her at the Galentine's event. She said it wasn't basically about what Destiny said. It was more like she was going off energy, and it was just like the energy she was getting. And that it shouldn't have really been that. I'm like, okay, all right, whatever. My understanding was, she was, apparently Stormy was saying that she was mimicking her accent. I'm surprised she didn't say that on the show. So, okay, if you say so, Stormy. So then, of course, Carlos asked Destiny the same question, and she's like, oh, yeah, with Stormy. She liked Stormy when she first saw her. She was pregnant at the time. And that's the thing was she just felt like Stormy kept asking her the same question over and over again. And that's why it went sideways. So then Carlos was like, people were tweeting him and basically saying that, this is not Love and Hip-Hop and Stormy shouldn't be on it and Stormy's ghetto and stuff like that. So Stormy was basically like going on about how, she doesn't agree with that, which is fair enough, and that she works hard and etc. Do you know what? Like, people shouldn't be coming at her for being, like, in quotation marks, ghetto or whatever, or saying that she's ghetto. I don't think she's ghetto at all. I think everyone is allowed to express themselves the way they choose to express themselves. Now, do I think that we need to see her in a different form? We need a better storyline for her next season if she's coming next season? Yes, we do, because the storyline of being the one asking all the weird questions just is not working. And that is why I feel like, in a way, this is my opinion, by the way, I feel like sometimes the producers sort of set them up for failure, the new people coming in. Because I think they made Tiffany ask all these weird questions, the same way they made Stormy ask all these questions. And then, of course, the public end up not liking those people. And so I think it's the way they portray the storyline that makes it into what the fans see and then get upset about, as opposed to, the reality of who this person is. So I think, if anything, the producers should work on, having more of a balanced storyline for everybody, instead of making people out to be a villain or, in quotation marks, ghetto, whatever. My opinion, not fact, my opinion. So then Carlos gave her, her flowers, which I appreciated, basically saying that she's working in a field that is not dominated by African American women, and she's come from the South and she's done that. So he basically gave her flowers, which I'm here for, right? And then moved over to Destiny and basically said to her that, people have been saying that she should get fired because you don't share your life, basically. He talked about the fact that, when she was going through the divorce, she didn't share that. They had an agreement not to share. And now she's in another relationship. And it's like, what do you have to say to people saying that, why are you on Love and Marriage Huntsville? Which is fair enough, because she's not sharing anything. But the part that got me was when Carlos said, why are you on Love and Marriage Huntsville when you're not in love or in marriage? I'm like, wait, what? Like, that is such a rude question. I don't know about you all, but you guys might not like Destiny, but like, that is rude. And Destiny needs to watch Tisha, because Tisha was smiling and smirking the whole time. Destiny, watch that girl. She ain't your friend, honey. So Carlos basically said that, Tisha and Kimmy work with you, and like, they do feel like, they have to constantly pull things out from you, and then ask Kimmy. And then Kimmy was like, yes, I have said it. And I say it. I'm like, okay. And she's like, she has said it, and she has said it to Destiny on multiple occasions. And so Kimmy was like, well, some people are private, and, it might not be the platform for her if she's private, which is, I couldn't agree more. Although I feel like everyone is private because they're not really sharing everything, i.e. Tisha and Kimmy, whatever. But they share enough to keep you interested. Destiny needs to find a balance. Like, you can be a private person. I'm a very private person. But with certain people in my life, I share enough so that I'm not completely unknown, or, something. You give them something. And I think that's where the viewers are. Viewers are like, give us something. So basically, Carlos also said that producers have said that she's very difficult, basically, and that they throw things at her and she just doesn't bite. And so then she's like, oh. Then she said that there's been plenty of moments where she has been emotional and vulnerable and it just didn't play. And I'm like, okay, interesting. The way Kimmy was looking at her, though, I'm like, I don't think Kimmy's buying it, honey. And then she jumps in, Kimmy, and she's like, well, that has happened to everybody. And based on the way you're phrasing the statement, all I'm saying is that, it's happened to everyone. I'm like, Kimmy, let the girl speak. You say she's not transparent, then let her be transparent now. Give her opportunity to speak. I don't know, Kimmy annoyed me with that, I have to say. I do wonder whether something is going on between Kimmy and Destiny behind the scenes, because Kimmy was just giving her rah-rah energy, and then people are like, well, don't come after Kimmy. I'm like, she's not coming for Kimmy. Seriously, Kimmy is the one that seems to be coming for her. And it's like the tension is so thick you can cut it with a knife, honey. This episode was really good. I'm thinking next episode will probably be okay as well. But what did you guys think? Like, it's so, like, this whole reunion has been better than the whole season, honey. It's been better than the whole season. But I think there is a lot of work that needs to be done. And Tisha, when they showed the preview for the next episode where she was talking about Mel has a dark soul, I'm like, girl, if you do not stop it, you're the one with the dark soul, honey. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Please give this video a thumbs up and please subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, like, let me know in the comment section below what you guys thought of this episode. What do you guys think about the questioning, the questions Carlos asked this episode? Do you think that Destiny is basically meant to be on the show, or do you think she should be fired? I'm never in support of, firing anybody, but she does have to show show us a little bit more, to be completely honest. I think she comes across as more a friend of the show, as opposed to like a main cast. Right, even if you disagree with me, let me know in the comment section below. Let's continue the conversation in the comment section below. I want to hear what your thoughts are. All right, see you guys later. Bye.